What do Osama bin Laden and P. Diddler have in common? Well, they were both represented by the same attorney. Keyword, were. Osama bin Laden, dead. Good riddance. P. Diddy, still alive, but still no longer represented by Anthony Rico, Osama bin Laden's old lawyer. This made headlines recently and made me think immediately to myself, well, that cannot be good for Puff Daddy's case, okay? Having your high-profile lawyer, so high-profile that he represented Osama bin Laden. Have you heard of Osama bin Laden? Yeah, you have, for sure, dude.
I mean, this is a guy who 3 months ago was in control of a country. Now he's maybe in control of a cave.
What the f? Doesn't he have an alt nephew or something? Or am I just being psyoped? I don't know. Been looking at Twitter too much. Things are not looking good for Mr. Diddler. What exactly was shown behind the scenes to cause Anthony Rico, the attorney who once represented Osama bin Laden, was representing P. Diddley? What emerged from behind the scenes that caused him to step away? Mr. Diddler is dealing with over 36 civil lawsuits, all still pending, and we get even more shocking allegations, it seems like once a week.
This time, the self-proclaimed bad boy is being accused of sexual violence, intimidation, and coercion by 2 separate women in 2 different decades.
His reputation is completely destroyed, and he's got people like Kanye West defending him, which is like the last guy you want defending you at this point, in all honesty.
Ryan Garcia, this yeah, I'm on the nitrous.
I haven't really checked in on the case in quite a while, so that's what this video serves as, is a check-in on the Diddy case. What exactly has been going on in Diddy's camp over there? Seems like his defense attorney up and left. That's bad.
I don't know about y'all, but I find that that's not a good thing for Sean Diddy Combs.
When a defense attorney steps away from a high-profile case, it tends to generate interest because people start thinking to themselves, well, what did that defense attorney know? In which it, bazinga, or whatever the f people say. It especially generates interest when that attorney, defense attorney, is the Fedora Don pimp of Discord, Anthony Rico, this motherfucker, who has represented some of the most controversial defendants in American legal history. What has been transpiring to make this guy unwilling to represent you? Rico is an interesting character. His legal career is a bit of a testament to his willingness to represent absolute pieces of giant peanut-filled shit, just dookie filled with corn and peanuts and other insoluble fibers. I don't know. Having previously defended Osama bin Laden, individuals involved in other terrorism cases, and working as lead counsel on 45 death penalty cases, Rico is one of the kind of go-tos if you are in some shit. He's established himself as a guy who can navigate complex and controversial legal matters. Perfect for Diddley.
I'm the guy that you call when you're on death row. Your death penalty conviction has been had, your appeals is lost, there's nothing left. People call a person like me, somehow to save them from death row.
I've always struggled with the idea that people want to defend pieces of shit, but I also have a respect for the constitutional principle that everyone deserves legal representation regardless of the allegations against them, because until proven guilty, it's you know, or whatever the f it says in the book or whatever, wherever it says that at. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't learn that. I didn't even go to school. I was homeschooled, dude, in Virginia. Yeah. Mr. Rico is well respected in spite of, you know, representing Osama bin Laden, I guess, with the New York County Lawyers Association awarding him the Outstanding Contribution to the Profession Award in 2004, and the New York State Bar Association honoring him with the Outstanding Criminal Defense Attorney Award in 2012. Wait a second. They give an award for lawyers that are good at getting bad guys less jail time? That's weird. But they're bad guys, though. They're bad guys, though. Am I the only one who knows? Am I the only one who thinks? I'm gonna move this guy over a little bit. One really funny thing about this whole Osama bin Laden twist to the Anthony Rico case is this quote from an article. He served as a counsel on the World Trade Center bombing conspiracy cases regarding Omar Abdel Rahman and Osama bin Laden. In 2001, he defended bin Laden, saying the terrorist shouldn't be prosecuted as he was unable to defend himself properly, as he was not in the United States at the time. He was in a cave, watching child porn. Or whatever you did in there, dude. Anime? I'm not sure. He was a weeb, though. I know that. Freak mother. This guy pulled out on February 21st, 2025. That is a striking contrast to the established career of professionalism from Mr. Rico. According to court documents, Rico emphasized that his decision followed discussions with Mark Agnifilio, which is the lead counsel on Combs' defense team, and suggested that there were potential internal disagreements within the defense team. So yeah, one of your main guys, probably your most high-profile guy, withdrawing during a critical phase when defense attorneys are reviewing discovery materials and formulating strategy before the scheduled trial, just a few months before the scheduled trial. Kind of a bad time. It's a bad look, for sure. Reasons to be relieved as counsel for Sean Combs. I don't want to do this anymore. This was easier with Osama. He was in a cave. So Rico filed a motion to remove himself from the situation, and he cited sufficient reasons for his departure, but deliberately, obviously, avoided specifics with adherence to the attorney-client privilege. You know, you can't just be like, well, it's because everything's real, and this man's gonna be in jail for the rest of his life, forever, and he's gonna take down a lot of people with him. And he was a Mossad agent. This type of ambiguity does nothing but fuel speculation because people are like chickens running around with their heads cut off. It's all fun and games. All right, it's all fun and games. As long as somebody goes to jail for a really long period of time, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy as long as the victims get their share or whatever I don't even know. I mean, when a high-profile lawyer leaves in general, it's almost always seen as an indicator that the case is crumbling, and that is why it's so attention-grabbing. For example, the case against Harvey Weinstein, his lawyer Jose Baez quit. Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto fraudster, his lawyer Paul Weiss quit. Bill Cosby, evil person and serial rapist, lost his lead lawyer Brian McMonagle in his various essay cases. Suge Knight burned through about 15 lawyers during his murder trial. Very bad. Very, very, very bad. It seems like, though, we have a track record of high-profile lawyers leaving cases that are doomed to fail, doomed to be massively prosecuted. There's no way this guy's gonna get out. There's no way. There's literally no way. This is a signal of something way deeper, some kind of ethical or strategic concern. I'm not so sure Anthony Rico is too worried about ethics. He represented Osama bin Laden. He's like, Your Honor, he's not here. Hey man, good defense. That's true, you're right. We're trying to find him right now in caves in Afghanistan. Specifically, Rico's departure is grounded in a professional ethics decision. The American Bar Association Standards for Criminal Justice is what Rico specifically referenced in his motion to withdraw, and those outline circumstances under which an attorney may ethically withdraw from representation. My favorite part about all this is people's unsubstantiated claims as to why the man withdrew. For example, bizarre allegations of necromancy. I buy it. Take one, necromancy. DraftKings. I take one for necromancy. That's what I say, dude. Necromancy for sure. Necromancers are among us, and they're everywhere, and we need to get rid of them. We need to erude them from our society and send them back to from which they came. The Naibene Bay. They need to go back. I've been eating a lot of nern root. Just to be clear, there is no actual evidence of the necromancy claim. I don't know what the There's a lot of people with brain rot and holes inside the folds of their brains. People talking about him being a necromancer. Whoa, shit.
Has quit.
Pete Diddy's
now,
lawyer.
This is a man that once represented Osama bin Laden, and he has said, allegedly, that under no circumstances, can I continue to work for P. Diddy. Do you know how much?
I want to do. She's right. She may sound funny, and she may be weird looking, but she's right. Oh, she was just British? I'm sorry.
Well, at least we're not getting slaughtered.
I just offended a lot of British people. If I was a lawyer, I'd represent all you guys, even with a necromancy charge.
Yeah, he doesn't want to work for P. Diddy and represent him because one of his charges is something called necromancy. Now, I've just Googled it and I am disgusted. But yeah, this has been enough to make his lawyer...
Is necromancy a real charge? There's no way. Necromancy charge. Mosaic law. Oh, of course the Mosaic... The Pentateuch makes it illegal. Mosaic law, of course. All practitioners in necromancy gonna get stoned. People don't do that anymore. What the fuck? I was gonna say, there's no way we have like a some kind of law against necromancy in Texas or whatever the fuck. Maybe there is. I don't know. It was necrophilia, not necromancy. He wasn't raising the dead were raising him. Yeah, necrophilia, that makes more sense. I'm not claiming that, but that does seem like something Diddy might do. All right, I don't think Diddy be casting spells bringing the dead back. That seems like really crazy. Where would you even get a soul gem?
Do you know how bad of a person you have to be if your lawyer, who was literally Osama bin Laden's lawyer, someone who's been practicing his entire life to defend criminals, quits? And then when the public asks, hey, why did you quit this case? The lawyer says, I quit because of necromancy.
Is that what the lawyer said? Is this guy real? Is this real? Did he actually say that? He didn't say that. And the necromancy thing is not real. That's not true, not at all. And also attorney-client privilege, he would get sued to a new planet. All right, he had to represent himself if he said why he actually quit, other than just citing ethical reasons and, I cannot continue. I'm tired, Your Honor. I'm sleepy. I needed rest. A lot of people believe the necromancy thing is legit, though. I've seen a lot of tweets and comments. They got footage of Diddy dealing with necromancy, not necrophilia. Let me correct that. Diddy was involved in necrophilia. To execute him even looks like the least punishment. Crazy. So Diddy has been charged with necromancy and necrophilia. The court documents are so scary. The lawyer withdrew. Who the f are these people saying this shit? Necrophilia. Why the emojis? Just to be clear, nothing at all in Rico's statement or affidavit requesting to leave the case indicates anything to do with dead bodies or shares any specific reason as to why he's leaving. So just to defend that guy a little bit, not that he needs to defending at all, because I don't want to defend him. He defended Osama, bro. Fuck you. Anthony, fuck you, dude, for that shit. Aren't you proud to be an American? What the fuck? Yeah, nothing about raising any dead bodies, nothing like that. It's all just nonsense, misinformation, disinformation, fake nonsense, doesn't exist. It's not real, even though I want it to be, even though I want to say it like it is real, and I believe in it, and all that stuff, and also that he's a Mossad agent, but I don't know. Shh.
P. Diddy has allegedly been charged with something called necromancy, and if you don't know what that is...
P. Diddy has allegedly been charged with something called necromancy. I'm fucking... What is it called? Scouse? Scouser. P. Diddy has allegedly been charged with being a scouser. Shut up. The legal reality is most likely that he just wants to sleep and he's tired. Or maybe there's evidence that contradicts the client's prior statements or something like that. I don't know. Maybe concerns about witness intimidation or discovery of information that could potentially compromise the attorney's ability to present a truthful defense. It seems like this guy may actually be a good attorney. Aside from representing Osama bin Laden, because that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Now, it wasn't necromancy, but I tell you what, the unsubstantiated social media claims in comparison to the actual evidence and the actual claims from authorities and the evidence that the authorities possess, they claim to possess, pales. The fake shit pales in comparison to the real shit, all right, motherfucker? When investigators seized 1,000 bottles of baby oil and electronic devices from Diddy's property, they weren't just collecting goods and items and loot and shit. They were assembling the foundation of one of the craziest cases of all time and alleging a decades-long operation that was facilitated by one of the most powerful people in the West, and especially in, our culture and music and shit.
We're now getting a closer look at the mountains of evidence federal investigators collected at the homes of P. Diddy leading up to his indictment. This includes things like guns, ammunition, electronic evidence, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant.
The federal charges against Sean P. Diddy Combs are specific and quite severe. They are racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Bro is a sex trafficker. And this is a picture of all the baby oil. Totally real, not AI generated. I stand by it. And I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. The theory from the prosecutors is that P. Diddy is not merely an individual, not merely a funny-looking weird guy, but the orchestrator of a criminal enterprise. A real big bad guy. A real bad guy who systematically abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires while simultaneously protecting his public reputation. According to the indictment, this behavior from P. Diddy began around 2008 and continued for over a decade, with Combs allegedly using his business infrastructure to facilitate these activities. He's a mobster, but like a lame mobster. Mobsters used to be kind of cool in some ways. This is just lame and stupid. Central to the federal case are the so-called freak-offs, which is a term the prosecution uses to describe elaborate sexual performances that Combs allegedly directed and recorded. These events, according to court documents, often involved male commercial sex workers and could last for days, with drugs purportedly being administered to keep participants compliant and awake. Also, the extensive AI-generated collection of baby oil recovered during the raids appears to corroborate aspects of victim testimony regarding these freak-off encounters. Look at this, freak-offs. I love how they say freak-offs. Diddy freak-offs. They say that in the actual prosecution.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
Because he referred to them as freak-offs. That's what he does. He's a freak Bob. He's the freak Bob of showbiz. What a dude. Hopefully there's not more people like this, and I just hope it all comes crashing down for everybody and we all die burning in a blaze. It looks like that might be coming soon, all right? With what's going on over there in Eastern Europe, it's not looking good for us. It's not looking good for us. On top of all the freak-off shit and all that other bad stuff, the multiple denials of bail 3 separate times indicates the judiciary's assessment of both the evidence's strength and Combs' flight risk. So they don't want to let him out because he's going to run away, and it looks really bad for him. Judges typically consider the nature and circumstances of the charges with the weight of the evidence and the defendant's history and characteristics and the potential dangers to the community when making a bail determination, and they have determined that it ain't worth it to let P. Diddy out. To me, the most concerning allegations for Combs' defense are probably the allegations of witness intimidation and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors have suggested that P. Diddy Combs leveraged his considerable influence and power to silence potential witnesses. And if a claim like that is substantiated, that could, let's say, complicate his legal position. Plus, the electronic devices may contain recordings that will provide evidence and corroborate alleged criminal activities, which might potentially offer prosecutors explicit documentation. It's quite uncommon to have such explicit documentation of the conduct that's generally described in an indictment. So, rest in peace, Diddy. This guy's definitely a racketeer, though. I would go out on a limb and I'm going to say that's probably the most true of all these things, and a sex trafficker, because that's kind of like his racketeering was sex trafficking. The legal definition of racketeering is engaging in illegal activities as a part of an organized crime operation, and that sort of frames the prosecution's approach. This dude is a mobster, is what they're saying. They characterize P. Diddy Combs' business empire as a criminal organization, and they're trying to establish a pattern of behavior through that. So it isn't just isolated incidents, it's systematic criminal conduct. That's the federal stuff. Below the federal criminal case is probably an equally treacherous landscape of civil litigation that Mr. Diddy has to deal with. Last time we checked on Diddy, he did not have 36 lawsuits against him. The surge of lawsuits against this fool can be attributed primarily to the New York Adult Survivors Act, which created a significant legal pathway for victims of SA. This act established a 1-year window during which adult victims could file civil claims regardless of when the alleged abuse occurred, effectively suspending the statute of limitations that would otherwise prevent such cases from being heard. Following Cassie Ventura's initial lawsuit, this legislative window enabled 36 more additional plaintiffs to come forward with allegations that all share striking similarities and paint a bad picture for the criminal enterprise known as P. Diddy. This guy is the Mankar Cameron of Palm Beach. I don't know where the Diddy lives. I figure probably maybe somewhere around there. Up until recently, though, Combs' legal representatives have adopted a consistent defensive position characterizing these lawsuits as being financially motivated rather than truth-seeking lawsuits. For months, we have seen case after case filed by individuals hiding behind anonymity, pushed forward by an attorney more focused on media headlines than legal merit, his team has stated repeatedly. They have repeatedly, once again, described the lawsuits as money grabs and extortion attempts built on fabrications. The civil cases, regardless of whether or not some of them are fake, some of them are real, whatever it is, it's all going to come out at some point, but they're going to influence potentially the federal criminal prosecution, which is the real meat and potatoes of this whole thing. That's going to get Diddy sent away forever. Everybody knows that criminal and civil cases have different standards of proof, but the repeated patterns in many separate accounts over the years create quite a concerning picture. The common claims of coercion, drugging, assault, all these things could potentially serve as evidence that prosecutors could use to show a consistent method of behavior to You know, the Diddy criminal sex trafficking enterprise.com. Diddy's defense team now relies on 5 attorneys led by Mark Agnifilio. All this at a critical time. And while Agnifilio's experience in high profile cases brings some level of stability, this guy's been around. The loss of Rico's expertise and his big claim to Osama bin Laden fame leaves the defense a bit vulnerable. They've been filing motions to challenge search warrants that were used to raid Diddy's properties a couple months ago and claiming that investigators misled the court to gain approval. This is a Fourth Amendment strategy that aims to exclude harmful evidence before a trial, which could potentially weaken the prosecution's organized crime claims.
The latest thing they've filed now is questioning the search warrants that got federal agents permission to raid his homes in Beverly Hills and in Miami.
So what they're essentially trying to do is say that this violated the Fourth Amendment, the right against unreasonable search and seizure. If they would prevail on something like this, all that evidence would not be admissible.
Additionally, the defense is pushing back against the charge for the indictment, arguing that the Mann Act, which is an act that was cited that prevents you from taking women across state lines, sex trafficking them for immoral purposes, they argue it has historically been misused to target black individuals, which I can definitely see that back in the olden days, but I don't think that this act is being used to mis-target P. Diddy. What the that's ridiculous. I'm gonna say Diddy's I'm just gonna go out and say it. This is really bad for him. Something's gonna stick. This is not a good look. Very bad. He'll never work in Hollywood again. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there that probably would love to work with him still. And yeah, Kanye, his biggest defender. Big L there. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, press the like button down below. Go to the Gump Club to watch uncensored videos. Go to Sour Boys, sour.gg, buy yourself some motherfucking candy. And I'll see you all in the next one.